Welcome to the Rensselaer County Regional Chamber of Commerce Connect with Careers Week, Spring 2022. I'm Kate Manley, the president of the Rensselaer County Chamber and your host for this virtual career exploration video series. Thank you to our sponsors for the 2022 edition, Martin Electric, Mosaic Associate Architects, and WB Games. Today, we're pleased to be joined by Patrick Harris, who is the president and co-founder of Collective Effort. Welcome, Patrick.
Hey, what's up?
So first, tell our students a little bit about Collective Effort as a company.
Cool. So Collective Effort, we're a creative agency located in downtown Troy. Bunch of my friends, when we graduated RPI, we were like, hey, we should start our own businesses one day. And we kind of all did. Some of them were a little bit older than me, so they got started a little bit earlier. I ended up connecting with them. And yeah, we basically just started working together over probably the course of like a decade. And then we basically in 2017, we were like, hey, we should probably do this together now as like an official thing. And we basically just started doing marketing and media for local companies around. From there, we ended up getting opportunities to do things like making some internal videos for Puma. We've done some stuff for Under Armour, Hype Beast, which is like, pretty interesting like streetwear brand. And yeah, it kind of just kicked us off on like a really strong start. And we ended up being able to just build a team and expand the business to open a co-working space where we host local creatives and we give people an opportunity to have a workspace at a really affordable rate, but also you get to talk to us. A lot of folks right now are really interested in media and gaming and all these kinds of things. And we basically just made a space for people to be able to explore that kind of thing.
That's awesome. So what do you do on a daily basis as the president and co-founder with that title? What do you, Patrick Harris, do day to day?
Oh man, so many things. I think the most basic thing that I do is I'm always just like trying to help my team be really good at what they do. So that's like probably the number one job of a good president. They're trying to figure out ways to make their team really, really strong and effective. Probably the next best thing that I do is spend a lot of time dealing with like finances. So that might be like figuring out how much it costs to buy a new camera, finding out how to price things that we sell. We make videos and they all need prices, and so I do a lot of research and spend a lot of time just like making projections on like, hey, well, if we want to buy a building one day, this is how much money we have to make and this is how much everything has got to cost to do it. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of hard work, a lot of struggles, and a lot of getting up early and going to bed late, but it's all worth it at the end because you get to own a business, and if you do it well, you get to own a business with people that you really love and care about. And yeah, it's a good time.
That's great. So when you were in high school or middle school, where did you envision your pathway going? So what was your pathway like, and how did you end up where you are, I guess, from that middle school, high school age?
Yeah, middle school, high school, I was like obsessed with sports. I was like football and doing track. I played a little bit of baseball. And I was just like, I'm gonna go be an athlete, but I'm only like 5'10", so reality set in when I got to like junior year. And yeah, from there I really was dedicated to building houses. I was really like just like, I don't know, I think my dad showed me like a program once where he like built like a digital house or something like that. And I was just like, that seems cool. I want to go do that. So I ended up taking this class in high school. And I built like a model house, like the size of a table, and like a 350-pound person could stand on it and it didn't break. And my teacher was like, man, you're really good at this. Like, you should try to actually pursue doing this. And so I came up to Troy to go to RPI, and the intention was to be an architect and an engineer. Turns out that I am not the best at physics. And so I ended up making a really like hard turn when I got to college, when like my math skills were just like, not up to par for being an engineer. And so I was just like, man, what am I going to do? And, college is supposed to be a time where you're experimenting and all these kinds of things. And so I was like, well, I've never really been traditionally like the traditional creative person. I never was like really good or rather interested in like drawing or anything like that. But they had this program where it was just like, hey, you can learn how to, be in like the digital arts and and produce digital media. And I did have some experience like with cameras, thanks to my grandma. And so, yeah, I kind of was just like, I think I'm gonna try this thing out. And so yeah, I picked up a camera and changed my major in college. And I just decided that, hey, I think I might want to actually try to figure out something to do here. And then after I graduated, I just kind of fell in love with Troy, and like there's just a lot of opportunities to both meet people and make things, and especially just starting out on your own too. It's really difficult to go down to like a New York City or a LA because everything's so expensive. There's so many people, there's a lot of competition, that kind of thing. And so it's really way harder to get started. And so Troy seemed like, all right, there's some cool stuff happening. There's some pretty cool
Yeah.
people. And what I can do a pop up, right now by myself, and
Yeah.
it can be alive. That's crazy. Yeah, and that's kind of really how I started. I was just, doing photography and doing graphic design for folks and doing pop up shows.
That's awesome. So you talked a little bit about this, but what types of career pathways exist within the creative economy? Because I would kind of put that as the umbrella for collectively what collective effort does. There's
Yeah.
so many facets of the creative economy. But what are different roles that students could engage with within the creative economy?
Oh, so many. So one of the beauties of our program at RPI was that it kind of gave you exposure to a little bit of everything. So, at least, what we focus on the most is media production. So that's like, can you hold a camera? Can you hold a microphone? Can you edit? Can you,
Mm.
do math that helps count how much all of this stuff is going to cost? You can be, I know graphic artists that, they're just muralists around town and they make murals. I know a lot of people that are like video game designers. So there's like people that love to play video games. You can really easily just like go online, learn how to code a little bit, and then you can get hired at WB Games, for
Yeah.
instance. And I know they're like, you could be a storyboard artist, if you're not into like coding and things like that, you could just like make like comic books and stuff like that. And they build games off of that kind of stuff. It's really expansive. And pretty much you can find an opportunity to do anything in the creative economy, as long as you're like really diligent about the thing that you're good at or care about. So if you're good with a pencil, pick up that pencil, start doing some sketching. If you're good with a camera, start taking some pictures and shooting some videos. You pretty much can manage your way through pretty much any scenario and in any environment, because not just like creative cool companies like Collective Effort and WB Games, but like every company needs like a marketing department, and
Yes.
marketing departments are just like, hey, can you make some social media posts, and that's all graphic design. It might be
Right.
some video, it might be some photography. There's so many kinds of different things you can be doing. And if you don't want to do any of that, you could also just be a video game streamer right now too, which just seems like a really viable lifestyle choice, which is the strangest thing to me. So
Yeah.
why not?
Possibilities are endless. Yeah.
Pretty
So when
much.
we talk about the future of work and what that might look like, what skills do you recommend students like take special note of as, work, the way we work is evolving?
Okay. I love this question because it's a thing that we constantly talk about here. Is like one of the part of the reason that we decided to start Collective Effort, was because we seen this thing like happening, and it was just basically like the growth of like the gig economy or the freelance economy, where people are just like figuring out that like, hey, you can actually take a chance on yourself, especially as you find cool communities like Troy and just like our region. It's really feasible for you to like try a thing on your own. And what I've learned is, in order to be successful doing something on your own, it's less about like being like the best designer or the best videographer or the best at whatever it is that you're really good at. It's more so than anything being really good and dedicated and disciplined about the really boring stuff. So
Yes.
that's like, can you get up on time? Can you send an email? Can you put something on a calendar? Can you communicate with people effectively? It's those kinds of things that are actually going to make you successful over time. So all the boring stuff that like kids are learning in schools and things, that they might not care about, like doing homework, that stuff actually is really
Yep.
important when you get out into the real world. Because again, as like the president, my job is to be constantly doing homework. And so like that homework might not be, sometimes it is me sitting at home, like looking up something on Google, but realistically, it's just like, you got to put in a little bit of extra effort here and there to learn some things, to be able to like expand on whatever it is that you're already good at. So, for me, I had to really learn how to do finance stuff. So what I did was I hopped on Google as a part of my like general work day, maybe sometimes in the evening. would listen to podcasts. I would go find templates for all these kinds of things that like I would like read about in articles. And I was just like, I don't know what that word means. I'm gonna go look up the definition. And then I'm gonna go find this like template thing that is like an example of this other thing that is what I have to do. It's those really, really boring things that really, really make the difference in everything. It's not always the most talented person. Sometimes it's just like the most diligent.
hmm I love it. I love that answer. So, how would you define success? You, as Patrick Harris, what does success mean to you?
To me, I once thought it was about like, do I have a bunch of like cool things, like a real materialistic thing. But today it's more like, am I happy doing what I'm doing and how I'm doing it in particular? I think that's the real nice little nuance that people forget. Like, it's one thing to like, oh yeah, I do this job and I'm happy because I bought a house and all these kinds of things. Um, but it's just like, is the how of getting all those things, are you okay with that, and does that, are you fueled by it? I am happy because I get to like make decisions and make all these videos and try a bunch of interesting things, but I get to do it with a bunch of people that I, care about and respect, that I've like built a relationship with over a really, really long time. And we get to make decisions together. And that makes me really happy, because not everybody has that opportunity. And they all like own the business with me. I'm a co-founder, not
Oh,
just like a
cool.
solo founder. And so, it's really important that like people understand that, they say like, if you want to go fast, you go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And so we were like, hey, let's go together and let's, just do it well. So yeah.
That's terrific. So, before we go, what's one last piece of advice you'd give to students?
Mm, one last piece of advice. I would say that like keep trying stuff. There's going to be, we're talking like, eighth, ninth, early high school, you don't really have an idea about what your life is going to be like. So it's important that like, regardless of whatever your situation is and however hard things might be, it's just really important that you're always trying something. It could be like the thing that you care about. If you were lucky enough to like find out that like, oh, I really am good at taking pictures. Maybe it's, I'm really good at talking to people, whatever the case, whatever the thing is. It's important that, everyone's just continuously trying and not giving up on anything. Our brand like mantra is called do something. And it's literally just made of like, you might not know where you're going, but like, as long as you keep doing something, you're going to get somewhere. And that's what's really important. You just got to kind of, you got to
You
you
got to
gotta
do
keep getting
something.
up. You gotta get up. You gotta go get up. Go run around and frolic in the grass. And you might see some sign out in the, on the street that is just like, man, you know what? I really should go talk to these people, or I should go start playing video games or whatever. I don't know,
And
whatever
it's
it is.
sometimes it's the small steps. It's not like
Yeah,
anything
it's
you get
it's the
up and
tiny
are like,
things.
I'm
Yeah,
going to do this today. It's like little things that build to make.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. It's tiny, small decisions, tiny, tiny, small decisions. There aren't a ton of eureka, I've got it, big, momentous, changing like realizations in life. It's normally just a bunch of small, really positive decisions, which is increasingly difficult, especially, we got a bunch of young people that just like survived COVID, and like
hmm
that's very strange. It's super strange. No one's got any kind of experience in surviving something like that. And so of course it's going to be really hard in their psyche and like really hard to get up and manage. But at the end of the day, it's just like, it's your life, and everybody wants to make something of themselves in some regard. And really you gotta get up, you gotta do something.
Got to do something. Well, thank you so much, Patrick Harris, the president and co-founder of Collective Effort. Thank you for joining us today, and we'll see everyone next time.
I appreciate you having me.